The movie opens in a hospital where August visits his father, Chatri, texting his mom, Alice. As he navigates the building, he enters the elevator to reach the 3rd floor, but before he can press the button, the door shuts automatically. As the elevator ascends, the lights flicker, and the door unexpectedly opens. Confused, he steps out, unaware of a ghost inside the elevator. Suddenly, Chatri appears before him, sending a wave of fear through him. But in the blink of an eye, Chatri vanishes. August checks his phone, only to spot a ghostly figure behind him in a photo. But when he turns around, no one is there. He then heads to his father and tells him he's there to visit. But suddenly, Chatri wakes, grabs him, and warns, "You must redeem the Moei from the Lampam house." Before August can react, Chatri dies, leaving him stunned and speechless. In a flashback, Alice tells Chatri that she will focus solely on the baby from now on, even though it wasn't part of her plan. He promises to be better, reassuring her that she knows how much he wants the child. She asks, "What about the woman?" To which he replies that he's cut all ties with her and believes she will leave them alone now. He says, from now on, it will be just the 2 of them and their baby. He adds that if she doesn't believe him, she's free to be angry or hate him, but he's committed to them. The next day, Alice asks August if he's upset she missed his father's funeral, to which he replies it's no surprise since she avoided his father in life too. August admits he saw his dad that night and mentions he tried to say something about Norah, but Alice dismisses it, calling his father weird and superstitious for not letting her cut his tuft. August asks, "Is she going to cut it?" And as she proceeds, her finger gets a small cut, prompting her to leave to wash her finger. However, as she does, blood begins to pour from the tap, shocking her, and when she looks up into the mirror, she sees a crown held by demonic hands. In a fleeting vision, she feels herself placed beneath the crown, but everything suddenly returns to normal. Later, in the school's washroom, August suddenly feels something strange and is surprised to see that there is a ghostly figure instead of his reflection in the mirror in front. The ghost starts moving slowly towards him, due to which August falls in fear and hurts his arm, and when he looks up, the entity is not there. At the hospital, Alice informs August that the doctor said his bone is fractured and he'll need to wear a cast for a month. August asks, "Is this because we cut the tough Dad told us not to?" To which she says, if cutting hair broke arms, everyone would have broken arms. August then shows her something on his phone and asks, "Don't you have to hold a ritual for cutting it?" Alice watches the video in silence, and August asks, "That day when you and Dad had your biggest fight, it was about cutting the tuft?" Alice sighs and says, "Dad is dead now, so can't you let this stupid belief die with him?" That evening, August watches a video on his phone that his friends recorded during band practice, and this reminds him of something his father said about Moei. Curious, August looks it up online and discovers that it means vow. He begins browsing through his dad's old photo album and takes a few pictures of it. Afterward, he researches it on the internet, but starts feeling drowsy and sleeps. Next, he finds himself in a place where children are performing a traditional dance. However, one by one, the children begin clutching their stomachs in pain and collapse to the ground. He then notices white foam coming from their mouths before they succumb, and suddenly, he jolts awake from his sleep. Then he hears some noise, and an entity falls above him, floating in the air. Terrified by the sight, he panics, but in the next moment, he wakes up from his sleep again. He sits up in bed, only to notice a man standing in the room. Horrified, he quickly turns on the lights, but the figure vanishes. However, when he switches the lights off again, the man reappears, standing right in front of him, and he wakes up from his sleep once more. After a while, Alice comes in and asks why he hasn't gotten ready for school yet. Noticing his computer screen, she remarks that he's being overly superstitious and advises him to stop worrying, freshen up, and head to school. Later, when Alice arrives at her workplace, she finds Norah model in a weird position, who tells her whatever you took from them, you have to pay. However, moments later, the model walks out of the restroom, greets her, and leaves there. That night, while Alice is working at home, she hears music that sends a chill down her spine. And meanwhile, August is shown in his room, possessed and dancing to the eerie tune. The scene then shifts to a young man named Tub, who asks his mother, "Why didn't Dad teach me the Norah dance?" To which she replies, "You're the master's son, and he will teach you himself." Alice rushes to August's room and urgently pleads with him to open the door. However, he remains in a trance and continues dancing. In a panic, Alice rushes to her room to grab the keys, and when she returns and opens the door, she finds him unconscious on the floor. The doctor tells Alice that there's nothing to worry about and that August can go home tomorrow. However, from the X-ray image, there are no signs of the bone fracture anymore, which he finds strange as he has never encountered a case like this before. Alice returns home, recalling her argument with Chatri. She tells him he's too strict with their son, claiming he's treating him like a projection of his beliefs. He defends his actions, saying he promised their son to Norah's ancestors, and asks if anything happens, who will be held accountable? Alice retorts that he made the vow, so he should redeem it, and she gave birth to him and didn't see any ancestors or spirits helping her raise him. He calls her selfish, to which she reminds him she gave up her career and dreams to be the mother of their son. Yet he calls her selfish. She asks him to sign the divorce papers, and he warns her to remember her words, cautioning her not to let history repeat itself. Alice snaps, asking why he had to bring up the past, and he replies not to cut his tuft, suggesting their son will have something to rely on if they're gone. Later, when August wakes up, he realizes that the cast on his hand is gone. He gets up and walks toward the door, and as he opens it, a bright light flashes, and he finds himself in a house, where he sees Tub cutting something with a knife. Just then, his dad enters, pulls him out, and asks if he knows what he's done. He then pushes Tub to the floor and begins beating him with a stick, but then his mom intervenes, asking why he's hitting him, explaining that he just wants to perform Norah's dances. His dad says he has embarrassed him multiple times, to which Tub says he hates him, hates Norah, and hates too. The man strikes him again, and August, to his surprise, notices a bruise on his arm. August wakes up from his sleep and calls out to his mom, who quickly gets up and asks if he needs anything. He grabs his phone and asks if she knows this place, saying he wants to go there. He shows her the photo on his phone, and she is shocked to see it. Later, August's monitor suddenly turns off, drawing his attention to his closet, where he hears strange sounds. Slowly, he moves toward it, sensing movement inside, and without warning, a ghostly figure opens the closet door. The entity then comes out, bends down, and begins advancing toward August. The entity laughs, and just then, Alice enters the room and asks what's wrong, but he stays quiet in shock, noticing that August is staring at the closet. Alice gets up and starts walking toward it to check, but he stops her and says, "It's nothing." Now concerned about August's frequent accidents, Alice leaves with him for Lampam house. While on their way, a crow suddenly crashes into the car's windshield, startling her. They both quickly get out to check, and find the crow writhing in pain. And as August steps forward to see if it's dead, Alice tries to stop him, but he picks it up anyway and throws it off the flyover. Returning to the car, he says, "We can't take responsibility for its death, but at least we can dispose of its body." They arrive at the Lampam house the next morning, and August mentions he's feeling tired, to which Alice tells him to hang in there, promising that everything will get better. Now, as they begin unloading their luggage from the car, a man warmly welcomes them, and candles at the shrine light up automatically. Later, the man introduces himself as Cherd and informs her that her son is asleep. He adds that if she needs anything, she can call him. Alice says strange and unsettling things began happening to her family after she came to this place 15 years ago, to which Cherd asks her to think carefully. What brought you here? And what happened back then? In a flashback, Chatri is seen helping her dress in a traditional outfit before taking her photograph. Afterward, he makes a solemn vow to the Norah ancestors and masters, promising that if he is blessed with a son, he will ensure the boy inherits the Norah dancer's legacy, participates in the ceremony of trying cloth, cutting the tuft, wearing the headdresses, and ultimately becomes a Norah master. Cherd asks Alice if she believes in it, and she responds, saying she doesn't know how to prove such an unbelievable incident. Cherd remarks that, whether she believes it or not, fate or karma has still brought her and her son back to this place. He then mentions that power outages are frequent in the area, and hands her a flashlight. advising her to keep it with her. Later, when August steps out of the house, he notices a crowd gathered outside, where a ritual is being performed. He watches as a boy named Tu is crowned, and just then, Tub calls out for his mother, and it becomes clear that Tub is locked inside a house. Tu then begins to perform the Norah dance, and after some time, when the ritual concludes, Yoxil gives homage to the Norah ancestors. He declares that Tu has tied the cloth, cut his tuft, worn the headdresses, and become a Norah master. He explains that he brought Tu here to affirm that he will inherit the Norah lineage. Turning to Tu, he expresses his pride in him and assures him that he will continue their Norah legacy. He then speaks to Tone, telling him he must do the same, warning that if they don't continue their Norah lineage, a curse will fall upon them. Finally, he turns to Chad and tells him that since he cannot perform the Norah dances, he must become a servant, and Chad agrees, saying he will serve in this house life after life. Meanwhile, Tub's mother opens the door, and he immediately runs out of the house. She tries to stop him, but he insists that she let him go, claiming he will ruin the ritual, but she pulls him away from the scene. Next, we see that August is possessed, repeatedly saying, "Let me go, and I will ruin the ritual." Alice rushes to him, trying to wake him up, and calls Sherd for help. And as Sherd arrives, August snaps back to his senses. Sherd asks, "What's going on?" And Alice responds that she's taking her son home, insisting there won't be any ritual. Sherd suggests that she should let her son stay, as he has something to redeem, and so does she. Alice dismisses his words as nonsense, and at that moment, a crow lands on the window, then quickly flies away, and she reassures August that he's okay. Later, Alice sits in the shrine, saying, "I don't know who you are, but August is my only son, and I won't let you or anyone take him from me." She continues, "If you are holy spirits bound by oaths, then I am a mother bound by the principle of protecting her child." Suddenly, one of the four masks place their moves, and Alice is shocked. The next day, Alice asks August if they should go to the hospital and let a doctor take a look at him, to which he replies he's feeling better now. August then says, Dad said when he turns 15, he has to redeem Norah Moei, and asks if what they're experiencing right now will lead to that. Alice responds that she only knows that his father made a vow to the Norah ancestors here, so they could have him, to which August says if they fulfill the vow, it will all be over. Later, Sherd asks Alice if she believes in karma, to which she stands up and asks, "What do I have to do to end all of this?" Sherd responds that if it's about Moei or the vows, he believes he can help. However, he says karma is something she and her son must face on their own. Alice insists, "Just help me with the vow redemption, and as for the karma, I'll take it all myself." Sherd then asks if she's ever heard of reincarnation, explaining that, in addition to gaining a new life, one must pay for their past karma, and an apology cannot erase your previous faults and actions. As he begins to leave, Alice asks, "How will I know what is true or not?" To which Sherd turns to her and replies, "You will know soon." In a flashback, we see some kids performing the Norah dance, and when it ends, Chad steps forward and announces that next, they will witness the performance of Menorah Tu, the precious son and prodigy of Manara Yoxil of Lampam. Yoxil proudly tells the villagers that Tu is his firstborn son and dances beautifully. However, instead of Tu, Tub emerges and starts dancing, causing the crowd to laugh. Tub begins singing, tears streaming down his face. "My name is Tub. What a pity. I am a shameful son of the master. I hate my brother, my dad, and Norah." Yoxil, frustrated, orders Chad to take Tub away and turns to Tongsri, asking, "Why didn't you take care of your son?" They lock Tub in his room, but soon they hear people screaming outside. Yoxil rushes out and finds Tongsri crying over Tu's lifeless body, and overcome with grief, he breaks into tears. A man tells Yoxil that he saw Tub with Tu just before it happened. Tongsri denies Tub's involvement, but Yoxil orders Chad to drag Tub here. Yoxil strikes Tub with a stick, shouting, "Why did you do that?" To which Tub, crying, repeats, "I hate Dad, Norah, and Tu." Tongsri begs Yoxil to stop, but he continues. Desperate, she shields Tub, pleading, "Hit me instead." to which Yoksil orders Chad to lock Tub up. Tub asks Chew, "If I dance well, will Dad love me?" And Chew gently replies, "You'll get better soon." However, two kids nearby tell Chew, teaching a 5-year-old to dance Norah is easier than teaching Tub, and Master will never let Tub perform in his place because his dance would be a huge embarrassment. Later, Tub calls Chew to meet him at the pier, where in anger he pushes him into the water. That night, Alice discovers that August is missing. Worried, she steps outside and starts searching for him, and after a while, she spots a figure behind a tree. Cautiously, she approaches and calls out, "Who is it?" And the figure suddenly looks at her, causing her to freeze in fear. Then the figure speaks, "You have to redeem the Moei," prompting Alice to run away in terror. After running for some time, she stops to catch her breath, but to her horror, she sees several entities perched on a tree, dressed as Norah dancers. Terrified, she turns to leave, but another entity appears directly in front of her, forcing her to flee in sheer panic. Alice returns to the house and quickly locks the door behind her, where she gets scared by Sherd, and when he asks her what happened, she tells him that August is missing. Sherd mentions that he saw him in the Moei room, to which Alice urges him to take her there. Sherd takes her to the Moei room, where she finds August lying unconscious. Panicked, she gently wakes him up and tells him that they are going home as soon as possible. Later, Sherd tells Alice that he has prepared everything for the ritual tomorrow, and instructs her to go to the old storage room to retrieve the Moei wrap for the vow ritual. Alice asks, "How will I know which one it is?" To which Sherd replies, "If something is yours, you will find it." Next, we see Alice in the storage room, surrounded by many wraps. She touches one of them and hears a lady's vow to the Norah ancestors. She continues touching more wraps, and eventually, she hears Shatri's vow in one of them. She takes it and begins to leave the room, but just then, another wrap falls to the floor. Meanwhile, it is revealed that Tub had killed all the kids who made fun of him. And after killing all of them, he also committed suicide. We then see Yoksil's spirit standing in the room, and August folds his hands in front of him. Just then, Alice enters the room and finds August unconscious. Panicked, she quickly wakes him up and asks, "Are you okay?" To which he says, "I can't go back." But Alice reassures him, "I got the Moei wrap, and we'll do the vow redemption ritual together tomorrow." Later, the ritual begins, and suddenly the weather starts to turn ominous, with dark clouds swirling above. One of the masters cuts the Moei wrap, rolls it over them, and throws it out. And as he does so, Alice and August collapse and fall unconscious. Next, Alice wakes up in the hospital, disoriented, and as her memories return, she recalls that while returning from the ritual, a crow collided with their car, leading to the accident. It is then revealed that when Alice picked up the second wrap, she heard a woman screaming, "Come back and help my son." The scene shifts to a memory from the past, where Alice and Shatri are returning from Lampam house to Bangkok. As they drive, Alice accidentally hits a scooter, injuring a woman and her child. Shatri immediately says he will go out to check, but Alice stops him and drives away in a panic. And as they speed off, the woman desperately cries for them to come back and help her son. As Alice holds the wrap, the woman tells her that she will use a Moei to curse her for killing her son and leaving him to die like a stray dog. She says she curses her to witness the death of her own child, just as she did, and that she will live long enough to remember what she has done for the rest of her life. It is then further revealed that the individuals involved in the accident were Cherd's wife and son. Alice then goes to see August and apologizes to him, realizing how cruel the power of sin and curses can be. But isn't the love of a mother like hers powerful enough to protect her child? As August moves his fingers, the scene cuts. Next, it is shown that the Lampam house remained as dilapidated as ever, and Cherd had passed away long ago, and the movie ends here. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the chills, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a scare. Until next time, stay spooky.